In 1848, there was a baby born in Italy named Vilfredo de Pareto. You can't make this stuff up. And this baby grew up to be a sociologist who was very curious about people and the patterns that emerged amongst large groups of people. And his first major insight was that 80% of the land in Italy at the time was owned by 20% of the citizens. And he wondered, why is this? It seems so uneven. Why isn't it evenly distributed? And then he got obsessed with this pattern, and he started noticing it in different places, such as, 80% of the violent crimes were committed by 20% of the criminals. And he's just like, why? Why does this exist? And this has gone on to be known as the Pareto Principle, or the 80-20 rule. And this dictates how much money you'll make on Amazon this quarter, and indeed for the rest of your life. And it's all because of this baby born in Italy in 1848. So thank you, Vilfredo de Pareto, for making this strange discovery. And if you sell on Amazon, you've probably seen this yourself. Maybe 20% of your SKUs produce 80% of the revenue. If it's not 80-20, it's at least 70-30 or 65-35. And I've seen this in my own experience across hundreds of Amazon accounts. With this knowledge, I think where I want to take this is, Seller Central, right? When you first log into Seller Central, it looks like a helicopter control pad. There's all these buttons, all these places you could go, all these pages. But my question is, what is the 80-20 of Amazon Seller Central? What is the 20% of pages? Like, could I just look at a few pages and get a pulse on my whole Amazon business? The answer is yeah, absolutely. And I'm going to give you those pages today. So there are exhaustive guides online as to what each individual tab does in painstaking detail. And Amazon has great help articles on this stuff as well. But that's not what I want to do today. I want to give you, as an executive, as an owner, as a CEO in your business, what is the 20% of pages that you can consult to get a pulse and to get visibility and analytical control, to get a grip on the company. So the first one I want to show you is business reports. So if you're in Seller Central, you'll see a bunch of tabs up top. Just head over to reports and business reports. I'll put it over on this side. We'll move over a little bit. So reports and business reports, when you open it up, it'll give you the sales for today, which admittedly is not terribly useful, because you could be having a great day where someone bought, multiple units in their order. You could be having a horrible day where maybe something's out of stock, right? One day is not statistically significant. We need to see a wider time frame. So just head over to the date range calculator and go year to date. And once you apply that, you'll see the sales. And this is a great graph, right? Because the blue line is this year so far, and the red line is last year. And you can hover over any point in the graph. Each point is a month, right? So what does this graph tell you? This tells you, are we up on the year? Because is the blue line exceeding the red line on average? Are we up on the month? How are we doing right now versus last month versus 2 months ago? You can see top-level seasonal trends. A lot of folks will have a spike in the fourth quarter, in December specifically, and a slowdown in August, and a slowdown in the first quarter, and maybe a little bump for Prime Day in July, and all these things become really apparent when you see it from this business report's bird's eye view. So this is the first page. This really gives you general insight into the top-line revenue, not profit necessarily, but the top-line revenue of the business trending over time. You can see if directionally things are going in the right direction. Are you growing, or are you plateaued, or are you getting smaller, and how does that compare to last year, and all that stuff. All right. So that's a really cool one. I like that one a lot. That's probably the 80-20 of the 80-20, in fact. Like, if I only had one screen, this is the one that I would look at. So I want to give it to you first because it's cool. The next one is in the same sort of neighborhood of Seller Central. Just head over to, and I'll get you the exact term there, on the left-hand side, detail page sales and traffic by child item. Okay, just give that a click. And then if you could do me a favor and change the date range to the last 90 days. Because again, it'll show you some short date range when you click into it, not statistically significant, just see more data, right? You can do 90 days, you can do 6 months, whatever you want here. 90 is a good pulse check. And so apply that date range, and then sort it by ordered product sales. This is basically the next level down from that top level business report that we just saw. This more gives you the performance by product. And the reason this is important is because you can see the 80-20 rule in action. You can see what your best sellers were for the last 90 days and how much they sold relative to one another. And importantly, too, in one of the columns, you'll see unit session percentage. I absolutely love this metric. This is basically Amazon's version of conversion rate. Unit session percentage, the technical definition, is out of 100 sessions, how many units did we sell? So if 100 people come hang out with my Amazon listing, how many units do I sell? 10% is the minimum benchmark that I like to see. If you're at 4%, 5%, there might be something up with your reviews, the price point relative to competitors, the main image, maybe it's not getting clicked, or maybe it's setting the wrong expectation. The listing itself, perhaps it's not converting readily. Maybe you need to add some enhanced brand content. Whatever it may be, something below 10% is not very good. And like, you might, if you're coming from e-commerce, you might be thinking, well, 10% is great. Like, we get a 1 to 3% conversion rate on our e-commerce store. And I totally agree. That's a great conversion rate for e-commerce, but you got to think that on Amazon, people have their credit cards on file already. Unlike a Shopify store, they trust Amazon, they know it's Prime 2-day delivery, so 10% is actually the new 2%, right, on Amazon. And world class is like 40 to 60% unit session percentages, which is possible. I've seen it before. And quite healthy would be, 25, 30% would be great to see. But anything below 10, we probably have an issue. So let's recap so far. So those are the two screens that constitute the 80-20 of Amazon Seller Central. You've seen the top line revenue, how it's trending over time. Are we shrinking or contracting, or are we growing, flat? What's going on? And how are we comparing to last year? And then secondarily to that, we saw the SKU by SKU performance. How are our individual products doing, and how are they converting? So those two screens, right? The last one I want you to check out is under advertising and then campaign manager. Okay? So head over there. And this will give you a sort of local subsection of your overall sales performance. This tells you the sales that you're getting from ads and how much it costs you to get those sales from ads. When you open it up, and I'll do the same thing here on my end, you'll probably see a few key metrics. You'll see sales, spend, impressions, and maybe ACOS, maybe ROAS. You can hit that add metric button on the far right, and you can add any metrics you want. But I would recommend spend, sales, and ACOS. Those three, right? That's really what you need, right? The sales are obviously the sales that you're getting from ads specifically. The spend is, because Amazon runs PPC, pay-per-click advertising, that's how much you spent on clicks for any given time period that you have it filtered by. I would, filter by the last 30 days, just for the sake of this example, and you'll see, the spend and the sales for the last 30 days, or the current month you're in, right? And the ACOS is simply the spend divided by the sales, right? So if you spent, say, $20 and got $100 back in ad revenue, your ACOS would be 20 over 100, or 20%. So this is an indicator of, I suppose, how many sales you're getting through ads and how efficiently that ad spend is working. And below that are all of the campaigns that make up that top line revenue number for ad revenue. Right? So interestingly, this has some interplay with the business reports, where if you look at, say you looked at the sales for August 2022 on the ads console, right? You'll see a number. And then if you look at the sales from business reports, from that top level business reports that we checked out first for the month of August, you can actually do a little subtraction game here, where if you see your total sales and then you subtract the ad sales for that period, you therefore know how many sales were organic, i.e. they were not acquired from the advertising platform, they were organic sales. And this shows you how reliant your account is on advertising, as well as how well you're ranking for keywords organically. And the more mature an account gets, probably the fewer sales it will rely on from advertising, and the more it'll be ranked for keywords over time. If you're just getting started, it's perfectly fine to have a lot of your sales, over half coming from ads. But over time, as the account matures, you probably want fewer sales coming from ads and more sales coming from organic ranking, because the cost of acquisition is just much better for organic if you can get it there, right? So those are the three things. Business reports, the top level, the year-on-year. Business reports, the SKU, and advertising and campaign manager specifically for advertising performance and efficiency. So if you look at those three things, you have a good pulse on your business. And with knowledge of cost of goods as well, you can see how much of this revenue is actually translating into profit. If you roughly know the margins and you know the ad spend, you know roughly what your Amazon payout's going to be. And that's really what matters, is the profit. Anyone can make revenue. Making profit on Amazon is a different story after all these fees. So I hope that helped. If you want help with Amazon, or you just feel like things aren't going as well as they could potentially, things could always be better, business could always be better, I'll leave a link below to chat with our team, and we can help you through anything you're dealing with on Amazon. We've been doing this for years and years, and we'd love to hear from you. We'd love to hear about really cool brands who are trying to make something happen in the world and just need that extra piece of marketing bolted onto their company. We act like an extension of your team, and we'd love to have that conversation. So all the best. I hope this helps, and see you in the next one.